got to that place where I was building cool things and eventually wrote a paper that John Deere saw. And John Deere came to me after I wrote the paper and said, hey, we want to make an autonomous vehicle that doesn't kill people. Can you prove that a 3-year-old playing chicken with you, we have the technology to stop that tractor from killing the 3-year-old? And so we got a little remote control car, and we put a little 3-year-old mannequin on it, and we ran it in front of this largest 9000 series John Deere tractor as fast as we could, and we would play chicken with it. And no cars were killed, no 3-year-old mannequins were killed in the testing. And we were able to validate that it was safe, and then that launched into a product program. And so they said that they wanted to partner with us. The other problem that was happening at the same time was in Afghanistan, and people were getting killed as they were going into caves to try to get the bad guys out, try to get the ammunition and the bomb parts that they were hiding in those caves. And I thought there should be a better way where we wouldn't hurt people. So I took apart 3 of my kids' remote control toys, and I fashioned some tracks that could climb. And you saw the video of the ultimate product climbing. So I then stole their Legos, and I built a functional model of what I thought would have the capabilities of climbing over those rocks in those caves. And then I built a styrofoam model, and then I painted it green. And I still can't believe today, but my brother was willing to come with me, and we went to the SWAT team in Logan, and we said, we need $50,000 and we'll give you a bomb robot. That didn't go well. So they did not give me $50,000 for this brilliance. And I was able to convince a professor to give me $5,000 in venture capital. And so with that, we were able to buy some parts. We partnered with a farmer who could weld aluminum named James Godfrey, and we used some tracks from the cheese factory, fashioned some of our own gears, the little rubber parts there from a window well, and remote control from an airplane. And we went to an FBI show. This was in the hotel, and we worked 3 nights in a row and had 4 hours of sleep over those 3 nights total. And we were afraid the FBI were going to come into our room and shoot us because we were making so much noise at night trying to get the thing built in time. But anyway, we were able to pull it off, and we got $1 million at that show to build the real thing. You can see they backed up too much and rammed it through a wall, but that's that's what we were able to build, going from the stolen toys to the $1 million pitch to the FBI and the government labs that were willing to fund us. And so that was our founding in 2000 with a product target with John Deere of doing an orchard tractor, and this is what ultimately was built, and then a parallel project with the government. And what was interesting is we had our first near-death experience as a company with this robot because the liability attorneys were very concerned that farmers already disable systems every year, safety systems, and hurt themselves. And they will settle out of court to keep it from getting in the paper because they take off a safety shield like a PTO shaft and wrap themselves around it and then settle with the widow. And that could happen fairly easy with a tractor. How do you avoid with a robotic tractor that they just take that laser that's looking for obstacles and just point it into the sky? Because too many sagebrush or tumbleweeds are triggering its safety system, so we need to disable it. And so they felt like there was no way to make these safe. They didn't feel like there was enough sales, and so they stopped that. Luckily, we had volunteered to do a golf course mower for free, and in our spare time on the weekends, we automated a golf course mower, and then we got $1 million contract for that, and we're able to then keep the company alive and keep the business members out of their mother-in-law's basement. So these are the founders and some of the original teams. So we brought 2 professors out and 5 students. And that was our founding team. And then my wife joined as well, and she took over all of the finances, administration, HR, that side of it. I was still programming. You can see me down here programming the tractor. And so I was doing the programming of the tractor and business development. I was terrible. And so luckily we got enough money to hire some real programmers, and I transitioned into more of the sales business development role. Lots of team building. That's my wife and I soldering up a robot. That's us putting the cement floor into this garage. It's a fairly big garage, but that's the kind of team building we did. And then some of the initial projects with that $1 million grant to get those vehicles going were really how we got the company off the ground. This is what the robot ultimately looked like. There were different variants. This was like an insect that the body would pivot in the middle, and so it would twist and turn and adapt to the ground. This was in marine exercises where they were in Indonesia, and they were doing rescue operations where they would rescue people who were shot. And this was right after they had bought all the robots for Iraq, and we missed that, and so we're praying for another war, and we haven't gotten it yet, but I'm kidding, we wouldn't do that. So it really hasn't gotten... We've sold some for underground mining, some of those rough terrain. It's probably our most requested robot, but it's very random in the applications, and so we really haven't ramped up to sell it because we don't have that killer application.